Okay, everybody. Hi, I am Christina Taylor, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you from North Canton, Ohio. And this is a video for my In Color Club. This just started. This is the first color that the group is getting. So this is giving you a peek at the projects that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Let me take those off to the side and explained a little bit about my In Color Club. So everything that you see here, this is our first color being featured this month, and it's the Hydrangea Hue, which is a beautiful, I kind of think it's like a periwinkle color. It's not purple, but it's not blue. It's super, super pretty. It's been very popular. So this is a selection of what you get in the In Color Club. These two items here are optional. So um, I'll talk about these first before we move on to the rest. So these are options that you can choose in the In Color Club. Um, the option of the shimmer brush, and this is an additional $12 if you want to get that in your In Color Club. And then you've got the option of getting the 2 pack of blends, which gives you a light and a dark in each color, or in the color that's featured that month. And the add-on blends are an additional $14. Then this is what everybody gets in the standard club. This is what comes for, it's $48 a month for 5 months. You can join at any time. So with that, you of course get the ink pad, which this is the brand new one. So this is mine, and it is our new magnetic pads, which are amazing. We'll be using that here on these projects that I'm going to share. So you get your new ink pad. You get the re-inker, so you always have that color of ink ready to go. You get 2 yards of the Hydrangea Hue new ribbon, which is beautiful. We're going to use that today, and it's very easy to tie. The texture is great, so you don't get like a thick, heavy knot. Then you are getting the butterfly embellishments all in the Hydrangea Hue, and then the flat little pearl dots all in the Hydrangea Hue as well. So the first month you're getting the packaging. Each month you'll get a color that goes along with what I'm featuring that month. And you can, of course, store them in your packet. So you've got those here. Then next, you're getting a half a package of cardstock. So you get 12 sheets of the 8.5 by 11 cardstock. You're getting 1 piece of the pearlized specialty designer series paper, which you can see. Isn't that beautiful? Like you get the shimmer and the feel of like glitter and the sparkle, but not the mess of glitter. So I don't know if the light's picking it up, but you can kind of see that shimmer a little bit there. So you get that in the color. Then you're going to also get, ooh, sorry about that. You're getting 4 sheets of the 12 by 12 designer series paper in the particular color that's featured, in this case, Hydrangea Hue. So this one, I'm just showing you the front and the back here. It's actually like, so you get 2 pieces of this particular design, but this is what's on the back. So that's showing you the front and the back. And then you've got this design, which is like stripes, one more of like a watercolor wash, one more of traditional striping, but you can see you get 2 of the same in case you really love this side. You can use it all up that way. If you're more loving the watercolor wash vibe, then you can use this side. Next, you're going to get 2 pieces of the two-tone cardstock. This was new to Stampin' Up! Last year, I believe. And we've got it in all the colors, and I love it. I am here for it for sure. So this, I've got it flipped over. So this is showing you the light side of the Hydrangea Hue. This is showing you the dark side, or maybe I should say like the more traditional of the color. This is typically the Hydrangea Hue. This is a lighter version of it. But you got that on every piece. So you've got a light and a dark offering. This is a great product. Like this is a great way to get the color on your projects. It's a little lighter than our traditional cardstock, so it doesn't add as much weight to your card, but you can do some really cool things. We're going to do one of them today with sanding using the two-tone cardstock because it has a white core to it. So it allows you to sand it and get that pop of white coming through. It gives you some more texture and coloring there. Okay, so with the In Color Club, all of my members get, they get, of course, the new catalogs as they come out, and we are now on a catalog where you get one every 4 months. So they've gotten one here in May, we'll get another one in September, and then I think the next one then comes around in January. So my club members get new catalogs always. They also get a video tutorial with two projects each month, so featuring the color of the month and the supplies necessary to make that card. So you'll have your envelope, some of the supplies you have, of course, in your packet, your card stock and ribbon, things like that. What you have in there, you'll just pull from and use your resources. Other things I will provide for you so that you can complete the projects too. So by the end of the club, you have gotten 5 video tutorials with a total of 10 projects. And then also as an added bonus as well, you also get in with the butterflies, you're going to get these little guys, the white clear butterflies, which you'll see those in here. So those will come as well. So I think that's about it for the projects, like as far as what I wanted to kind of share with you about the In Color Club. If you have interest in that, you see this video and you have interest, you want to pop in and join, just message me either through my email, which is up here on the details. Let me kind of push that down a little bit so you can actually see it. Oh, you know what? My email's not on there. That's my online store. I'm just looking at that. My email is stampmecrazy@sbcglobal.net. So I'll have to change that and put that on there. I didn't realize, honestly, that I didn't have it on there. So anyway, or you can message me through YouTube, comment on this video as well. Okay, let me go ahead and get started. We're just going to jump on into some stamping here. Okay, so for this first project, see, I'm gonna grab everything here, get my Hydrangea Hue ink. So of course we're using our ink pad on this one. We are using the Modern Oval, and this guy is on the last chance list for $17.50, normally 25. So like grab that punch, that's a bargain. And there's a bunch of other punches on there too. Then we're also using our Hydrangea Hue ribbon. We're going to use some of our butterflies. And then the extra stamp sets and things that I grabbed, I'm using the Floral Spray 3D embossing folder. This, last I looked, it is on back order until I think August. Hopefully that is going to change and will be updated. This is a beautiful folder. I love the delicateness of the little lily of the valley on there, but it's so stunning to emboss. And plus it's like a larger folder, so you can do 2 card fronts or a whole half a sheet of cardstock at once. So let me show you here. Super cool. So you've got this big spray of flowers here, and you can do 2 card halves or an entire sheet. Okay. And then the stamp sets that I've chosen to use are the Lily of the Valley, which kind of goes along with our embossing folder, and then the Prayers and Promises. Okay. So you know what? I did not grab out the sentiments that I wanted to use. So let me do that really quick here. So out of the Lily of the Valley, I'm going to grab the little floral stamp. We're going to use that. Set that aside. And then the prayers and promises. I'm going to use the keeping you in my thoughts, holding you in my heart, and remembering you in my prayers. I think that is a wonderful sentiment that you can send for a lot of different things if people are going through a difficult time. If they've lost a loved one, it will cover a lot of different things, and I think that's a great one to use out of this set. Of course, it's got some really great sentiments in general on it. And I'm also going to put the sending love on here too, which I grabbed that right out of here. Okay. Put that aside. And then you're also going to need a sanding block. Now, if you've come to my class, gosh, I had one a couple months ago and we did this technique there and everybody got a sanding block. I think they were like smaller, rectangular, but you should have a sanding block in your stash. If you're a crafter, you most likely have a sanding block. So you just need any sanding block that will do. So here is our project. And you can see we've got some beautiful texture from that embossing folder. And then just that sweet little lily of the valley on the inside there with the sending love. And everything is fastened flush to the card, except for the sentiment I did pop up with some dimensionals. Now, when you're popping it up with some dimensionals, when you've got a ribbon involved, you want to make sure you're putting those dimensionals like on the top and the bottom so it will straddle this ribbon and not get stuck to the ribbon and then it's not making contact with your card. So you very much want to keep that in mind. So let me share with you the supplies that we have and the sizes. So if you're looking for measurements here, so you've got your envelope, and then we have a piece of Hydrangea Hue that's 5.5 by 8.5. I forgot to pre-score it, but normally I would. I did miss that step. Then I've got a piece of basic white that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 because we want a very thin margin around this card. Just get a little pop of that Hydrangea Hue. And then I've got an inside layer that is, oh, let's see, I don't have this one measured. I'm going to say it's 3.5. Let me get my little tape measure. I don't know why, but I did not. Let's see. Yeah, 3.5 by 5. Marianne, this is the tape measure you gave me. If you're watching this video, you're going to see it. I use it. It's right here by my crafting thing. It's awesome. Anyway, 3.5 by 5, white layer. You're going to put that on the inside. And then the piece of two-toned cardstock, that is 4 by 5 1/4. And you can see I have already run this through the embossing machine. So we've got that beautiful texture on there. And we're going to get right to work with that. You've got two pieces of ribbon. You've got a longer one that you want to cut at like 6.5 inches. That's what we're going to wrap around. And then you've got another one that's a 4-inch piece, and we're going to make our little tie for that, which I'll show you in just a minute. Okay, so we'll start by folding our card base in half. Use our bone folder there. So let's bring in, let me get a piece of scrap paper here. So we can sand on. Sometimes that makes a little bit of a mess, so we're just going to kind of do that and then set it aside. So I'm taking my sanding block and I'm just going to rub that right over the two-tone cardstock. I could have probably pre-done some of this, but so you see how it's revealing that white core? And it will be darker in some areas, lighter in others, depending on the impression that it's made on the embossing folder, like how deep it is. In those higher areas, you're going to get a stronger white to pop through. And everyone's is going to look different depending on how much pressure you applied as you were embossing. Let's see, I lost my side there. Which one is that? Okay. Alrighty. Okay, see how that makes a little bit of a mess here. Let me that off. I'm going to wipe this away. And we'll set that aside to come back with our work surface there. So you see how sanding that just gives that really cool texture and that color. It creates some dimension on that embossed image. So we are going to come in with, this is the layer that we're going to layer over top or underneath our embossed piece. And what I'm going to do, because if you watch me, you know I love to punch things out of layers because we're layering over top of it and you aren't going to see it. So I'm just going to take my modern oval punch and insert that right in the middle of that, or just all the way up to where the punch won't go any further, and punch that out. Okay. And we'll open up our ink pad here. So with ease, let's see that. All right. My inside layer too, and I need my envelope. I was trying to get all my stamping pieces together. I'll come in with my paper piercing mat. That'll add a little extra cushion when we're using these polymer stamps. Okay, so I'm going to ink that up. Now this is we used to have, we had the foam, dense foam pads that our current pads are made out of. These are the new magnetic ones. And so you've got the, oh, totally, like, I just totally lost the felt pads. I lost my train of thought. I was like, what am I trying to say? They are now back to our felt pads that we had like years and years ago. I just put a little mark on that. Okay, so we've got that stamped out. Let me get my Stampin' chamois. Okay, come in and clean that off. My chamois, put that aside there. And then this is my inside layer. I want to, oops, stamp a little Lily of the Valley on there. We're going to do some sending love. Okay. And stamp my envelope as well. So beautiful. That Lily of the Valley is just so delicate and soft. Okay. All right, so we've got all of our pieces. I'm going to go ahead and shut the ink pad. Look how easy that was. Oh my goodness. And we're going to start assembling. So this is my layer that I cut out my punch piece with, and I'm going to layer this over top of that white layer. So what I'm going to do is just put some liquid adhesive on here. This will give me a little room to kind of move things around, because that layer, that outline is just very thin. It's only like 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to press that into place. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with my ribbon. And I'm grabbing a couple pieces of Scotch tape, because when I'm doing my ribbon, I like to fasten it around when I'm working with it with the Scotch tape. So this is a trick, and it works really well for the ladies at class. They like this like kind of like a cheating technique with your ribbon ties, but it's so much easier for them to then get a nice perfect knot, and they don't struggle with it being loose, and not giving you like a good look on the front of your card. So you're just going to determine where you want to put it. This is about where I want it to rest on my card. So I'm just going to hold those ends and turn it over. And then I'm going to take some Scotch tape and just fasten that down. And then I've got that nice even band of ribbon going across my project. And then I'm going to come in with my label and grab some dimensionals. So I'm going to put 4 on here. Do 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. Okay, get those little bits off of there. And then I'm just going to put that right about there. You can decide where you want to put it. You might want to put it on the right side, left side, whatever works best for you. Then you're going to take that smaller piece of ribbon that you cut, so it's about a 4-inch piece. You're just going to slide that under your fastened piece, and you're just going to tie a simple knot. Okay, and let me grab my ribbon scissors here. And then I'm just going to clean up those ends. Okay. So you get a perfect knot every time. This is the best way to do ribbons, I think. So then we're going to go ahead and mount that to the front. And because I've got a lot of layers on there, I'm going to go ahead and use my Stampin' Seal. Just going to run some down the side there. Okay. And we're just going to layer that right on top. And it's going to be a very tight margin there, just a little frame of an eighth of an inch. Oh my gosh, I just love this so much. Okay, then I'll come back to my liquid glue. That's what I prefer to use, but when I've got a lot of layers and I'm fastening down something with ribbon, I go straight for the Stampin' Seal. And we'll put this in place. And there we go. We've got our first card done. Okay, I'm going to leave that out because we're going to need those things. Let's see. Let me just go ahead and set this stuff aside and I'll bring on our other items. Okay. All right, so let me put this one aside and we'll come back to it when we're finished here. So this is our next project. Oh my goodness, I kind of got like everybody and everything out here. Take that sanding block away. Okay, this is our next little project. This is a fun little note card. I've done some sponging on the little envelope or some blending, I guess you'd say, on the envelope. And then we've got some embossing. I don't know if you can see that shine there. But the butterflies are embossed. The sentiment is embossed. We're going to do some little speckling with our blends. We were using that two-toned cardstock again and one of those beautiful little butterflies on there. So this is a great little card if you are giving somebody a thank you gift, like they've done something for you, you want to thank them maybe with just a bouquet of flowers or something. You'll put this little note in there, let them know how much they are appreciated. So this card is all flush to the card except for the butterflies I have mounted up on dimensionals. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to share the supplies that I'm using with this project. So of course we're using our blend brushes and we're using the Hydrangea Hue color again, of course. And then the white craft pad. We are also using the stylish stitch shapes. This is one of my, like, I use this all the time. And you can see because the dies are just jumbled in there. But you've got a series of circles, squares, banners, and it is very versatile. I use this a lot. So I have chosen the second to the largest square to die cut. We are also using the new olive flutter. Let me tuck this guy in here. Put it in there backwards. But so the olive flutter stamp set, which has three stamps with triple butterflies on them, a tiny little kind of like train of butterflies, if you would, the little flying like to create motion as though they're flying. And then some great little sentiments in there too. So this coordinates with the olive flutter punch. So you get a triple butterfly that lines up with these three little guys so you can punch out your butterflies with ease. So we're going to use that. Then we're also using the Lazy Daisy embossing folder. It's a 3D folder. This one's super popular. I've used this a lot at class. It's very well received and just offers a nice touch of texture to your projects. And then I'm also using of course, the little butterflies. We've got those here. I've got my heat tool and my embossing tray. This is part of the tool kit, the embossing tray that you can get for your embossing. And then I've got the wow powders, which I am going to grab the white embossing powder out of here. But you can get, it comes with black and clear as well. Okay. So as far as the supplies, We are using, so I've got a little love note envelope. So it's a 3 by 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 little envelope. And then I've got a sheet of Hydrangea Hue that is just 3 inches by 6. That's going to create our little note card. Then I've got a piece of the two-tone cardstock, and on this one, where I use the light side as opposed to the dark side, do you see the difference in those? It's the same two-tone cardstock. I just used the light side on this project. And I have gone ahead and embossed that with the Lazy Daisy embossing folder. So pretty. I've gone ahead and die cut out our stylish stitch shape in that second to largest square. And I think that's it. Okay, so let me grab my blends. Let me grab those. We're going to need those. So we're also using those on this project. We're going to start by folding our little card base in half. Flatten that. Okay. And then I have gone ahead and done embossing for you. So I used the You Are So Appreciated stamp, and I took off the You Are and just put So Appreciated. And then I've got the butterfly stamp. I stamped both of those in the basic white, and I went ahead and did that so that you didn't have to see me do the embossing and the heat embossing and all that kind of stuff. But I used the embossing powder, stamped it in the white, used the embossing powder, and then heat set it with the heat tool. So after doing that, it gives me, and this is, I just did this on a scrap, so it gives me this really cool embossed piece on black. So I've embossed that with white on black. And then can you see those butterflies just a little bit? We're going to make them pop here in a minute. I want to do that before I punch them out. So I've gone ahead and embossed them so they have a raised texture and they're going to resist the ink. Let me open that back up. Let me get my little mat here because I want to tap off a little bit so I don't get like a blob of ink. Yeah, as you can see, I just punched the square out of here. Let me get rid of that. Makes it a little more user-friendly if I make the paper a little more confined there. Okay, so I'm just tapping that on my Hydrangea Hue ink pad, and I'm just going to start to add color to those butterflies. See right there, it got a little bit more color. So it's best to kind of tap off a little bit. I'll do that on there just to kind of make it cohesive. There, I'll add a little darkness to each one. It'll kind of go along with our splattering background that we're going to do. Okay, so I've added some colors, some Hydrangea Hue to those butterflies. Then I'm going to go ahead and just turn my butterfly punch upside down, line those butterflies up. Let's give it a punch. Okay. So then I've got these little guys all ready to go. They've got that nice color behind them. Oh, let me bring my project back into the mix here so you can see it. There we go. Okay, so then we're going to work on our stitched square. So I want to do a little more blending on there. I'm going to add some color in the center. Okay, so I've got a little overflow around the corners and stuff, just kind of soften that. And I'm going to go ahead and do my envelope while we're at it. Since we're blending, I can kind of finish all that up. So I'm just adding a little bit of color around the edge of the envelope. Okay. Do that on the back as well. And on the envelope flap. Okay. And then we're going to come back in with the butterfly, and I'm just going to go ahead and ink up that top one. and stamp that right in the corner to kind of just, it'll go along with our card. All right, let's close that up. And then we're going to go ahead and decorate this a little bit. So if you notice on the card, I've got these like cool flecks of ink. So what I have done is done a little splattering technique with my blend. And we'll go ahead and use the darker shade. And you're just going to take the inside of the brush tip and the cap and just flick. Just ever so gently. See how that, so I've got a little bit of splatter. It just gives like a little extra texture to the project, something fun you can do with your blends. If you've got the Stampin' Right markers, you can accomplish that. That's a very similar technique. That's what we used to use when we had those. Stampin' Up! Doesn't really carry them anymore. So, okay, so we've got all of our pieces and parts. So we're going to go ahead and assemble. Get this out of the way. Okay. So if you're seeing anything today that I'm using on this in color video for the Hydrangea Hue, and you'd like to shop my online store, you can do that at stampingyoucrazy.stampinup.net. That's where you'll find all the latest products that Stampin' Up! Has to offer. As well as we just restocked the last chance list, so there's tons of bargains on there. Like I said, that modern label punch is now 17.50 and it was regularly 25. So you can grab a lot of good deals on there for sure. So I'm going to take my stitched shape and I'm just going to kind of offset it. If you want to put yours on at, so it all lines up with the frame, but I thought this just adds a little extra element, a little bit more interest on the card. And then I'm going to come in with some dimensionals. I'll flip my butterflies over and I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of each one. Okay. Right. And we'll get those backs off. Okay. All right, we'll start with that big one. We're going to put that one up at the top and then we'll do our little one. I just love those speckles on there from the blends. That's so fun. Put that one there. And then we've got our embossed, So Appreciated piece. And I'm going to use some mini dimensionals if I can find the little guys. Yeah. I had them over at my other workstation there, so I need to get some little minis back over here and replace my supply. So I'm going to put 3 mini dimensionals on. Take those off. Stuck to my finger there. Okay. And then just kind of set that. Kind of put it to the right side, the right margin there. And come in there with our in color butterflies. And grab my take your pick tool. And we'll use this little guy. Oh my gosh, so cute. Okay, let me get this stuff out of the way. All right, so there is our second project. So we've got this little lovely beauty, and then this was the other one that we did with the Hydrangea Hue. So we're using that color today. So I hope that you have enjoyed the 2 projects that I've shared. If you're in the In Color Club and you've got all the products necessary to recreate these, if you don't have these stamps or embossing folders, inks, things like that, you can use what you have, but you can and you use what you have and you can still use the beauty of the Hydrangea Hue to come through in all of your projects. So all right, that's all I've got to share today. Next month, we are featuring the Peaceful Pine, which this video was set to go live in May, and I'm just now recording at the beginning of June. So you'll probably see the Peaceful Pine one coming out here too before too long because that is the color for June. If you have interest in becoming a part of my In Color Club, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you with that. And until next time, happy stamping. All right, have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.